Chapter 2 Day 1 0600 A man's body gently sailed through the sky as he slowly descended to Happy Island below. His heart was racing, and he had no idea what was going on. His whole life was a blur, a distorted mess. He struggled to hold on to something, anything, but could only retain basic ideas. There was nothing in his mind that defined who he was or how he had come to find himself floating in the air above a mysterious island. "Cameron," he whispered as his feet drew nearer to the ground below him. "I'm Cameron." His name was about all he could remember from his previous life. As he recited it over and over, his feet finally hit the ground. He felt a sudden shockwave of pain run up his legs and into his back. He let out a scream in response as he tumbled forward, rolling over twigs and rocks and perhaps a bunny, though he wasn't for sure. The parachute and ropes wrapped around his body, binding him as he skidded over the dangerous ground. Finally, thanks to the solid trunk of a tree, he came to an abrupt stop. His body throbbed with pain and his mind raced. He was confused and afraid. 930. Oh shit! Had he died? He ran his hands over his body, checking to make sure. He felt warmth, breathing, a pulse. No, he was alive, or at least he was still there. Fortunately for him, it was some other unlucky bastard who had died. Cameron wrestled with the ropes in the parachute, trying desperately to wiggle free. He was panicked. He was having trouble finding his breath. He felt like he was being smothered by the nylon. As his state of panic finally felt like it was about to peak, his head emerged from the fabric and he sucked in a deep breath of fresh air. The sound of firearms discharging could be heard all around him. Some of the gunshots were relatively close, while others were far in the distance. The idea that people were fighting everywhere sent a chill down his spine. How could he possibly avoid all the conflict? How was he going to survive? With shaky hands, Cameron fought to unbuckle the harness of his parachute. He was fearful that whoever was shooting the guns would find him and that he would be unable to escape or protect himself. Finally, after a long 60 seconds, he freed himself and frantically crawled away from the chute. As quickly as he could, he pushed himself up off the ground, stumbling momentarily as he found his footing. When he was finally standing, he stopped for a moment and surveyed his surroundings. There were trees all around him. How he hadn't gotten stuck in one seemed like a miracle to him. That thought was scary, dangling from the limbs as a target for whoever might cross his path. Cameron shook the thought from his mind. He had no time to think about anything but where he was and how to get out. With that new resolve, he hurried forward. Cameron looked like everybody else. His blonde hair was buzzed down to the scalp, and he wore a white shirt and brown pants. He had no stubble or beard or tattoos to speak of. He was just a generic person. His boots crunched against the dead leaves and twigs beneath him. As he mindlessly hurried forward, he stumbled over a rock, crashing to the ground once again. 78. 0. He noticed that the 100 in the top left corner of his screen had dropped to 78. The pain he had previously felt became nothing more than a memory as his adrenaline kicked in. The sound of gunfire all around him pushed him to find some kind of cover, some safety, anything. "What does it mean?" he grumbled as he charged forward. The 78 was worrisome to him. Declining numbers were never a good thing.
"It's your health, Cameron,"
a rustic mountain man-sounding voice echoed in his mind. He slowed his pace for a moment, surprised he received an answer. "What? Who are you? Where are you?" Cameron asked. "How are you talking to me? What the fuck is going on?"
"My name is Grizzly,"
the voice returned.
"and I will be your guide."
"Grizzly?" Cameron repeated. That couldn't be real. It all had to be an illusion. Cameron had to be imagining everything. He was convinced he had lost his damn mind. "Are you real?" Cameron's voice shook.
"Yes, I'm real, you shitbag,"
Grizzly replied.
More real than you are right now. Anyway, no time for that. I was talking about your health.
Fuck it, Cameron said. What about my health?
The current reading of 78 means that you have 78 points of health until you die. You lose health in a number of ways. You can get shot, stabbed, punched, kicked. You can take fall damage, eat rotten food. Someone could pull your hair violently enough. Use your imagination. I'm sure you can figure out what is not good for you. You're a smart boy.
Well, that sucks, Cameron spat as he ducked under a low-hanging limb. What does the 0 next to my health mean?
It means that you have 0 chance of getting laid here, you ugly shit,
Grizzly replied. Cameron fell silent for a moment, and Grizzly laughed.
No, I'm just kidding. Lighten up a little. The 0 indicates how much armor you have. As you are only wearing basic clothing right now, you have 0 armor. There's equipment spread across the island that you can find to raise that number. Also, bear in mind, once you level up, you'll be able to see your stats. Vitality will raise your health and armor by 5 points. The equipment you wear, however, will be your main armor source. As you sustain damage, your armor will decrease in lieu of your health until it's depleted. If you sustain damage and find cover for long enough, your armor rating will begin to regenerate. Your health will not. You will need to eat, sleep, or use medicine to fill your health back up.
What the shit? This seems complicated, Cameron said, stopping for a moment to catch his breath. He looked around nervously and watched for anyone with a gun. I don't get it. How is any of this, or whatever you said, why is it... I don't know how to ask what I want to ask. What's going on?
Well,
Grizzly replied.
Everything will be second nature to you soon enough. You'll start to figure things out. For now, though, you'll need to find a weapon, some armor, and you need to work on leveling up.
How do I do that? Cameron asked.
Most things you do will yield experience,
Grizzly informed him.
Kill people, kill animals, craft items, create structures, gather materials. The list goes on, friend.
905. Jesus Christ, that means 95 people have died so far?
You're correct,
Grizzly said.
This is why you need to find equipment, so that you don't become one of them.
And just so I understand, everyone here's trying to kill me.
That's the idea, friend,
Grizzly enthusiastically said.
The game is over when only 10 remain.
What happens to the 10? Cameron asked frantically.
Something good.
Grizzly sounded like he was smiling.
That'll be explained by DJ later. Hey, heads up. You got company.
Cameron's body tensed up. He didn't want company. He didn't have any weapons or armor or anything to protect himself with. The fear returned to him, and he began to sweat from his brow. His body was locked in place. He was too scared to do anything. The sound of a twig snapping nearby sent a sudden chill down his spine. What do I do? Cameron whispered sharply. Help me!
Right now your options are to run or punch the enemy to death,
Grizzly said frankly.
I can't tell you what to do, but I am allowed to sarcastically imply what should be done.
Grizzly cleared his throat and continued.
Your punches only do 2 points of damage per hit, considering you only have 1 point of strength. It would require 50 punches to kill a level 1 at full health with no armor. You think you got what it takes, Bruce Lee?
I hate you, Cameron sighed.
It'll be okay,
Grizzly encouraged, not fazed by Cameron's words.
Be smart. Choose your...
A person came into view, and Cameron's body suddenly filled with adrenaline. He let out a scream and charged forward, hurling desperation-filled punch after punch at his enemy. The other yelped fearfully, but Cameron did not relent. He got in 5 hits, then 7, then 12. A window suddenly appeared in the middle of his vision. It was transparent and didn't completely block his view, but Cameron was still distracted by it. Unarmed skill unlocked. Current level 1 of 20. Plus 5 experience. Cameron's screaming did not cease. He pummeled his foe until the two were wrestling and screaming on the ground like adolescent boys. The other screamed and finally fought back, and Cameron felt a fist slam into his stomach. 76. 0. Damn it! He cried out. He felt like a baby for crying after one hit. Stop it! He punched the other 3 more times and suddenly felt teeth clamp around his ear. 71. 0. No! Cameron yelled. He pushed the other off of him, and he hit the ground with a loud thud. Quickly, the other man got to his feet. The 2 locked eyes and slowly started to circle each other. Please, the other finally begged. Stop! Don't hurt me anymore! Cameron panted and stared daggers at his foe. He had not expected the guy to plead for his life. No, he had expected to be straight up murdered by him. For a moment, Cameron watched the other intently. He debated whether to turn and run or to charge him and finish him off. After a quick glimpse of his health, he shook his head and lowered his fists. Look, if you don't kill me, I won't kill you, Cameron called out. What? The other asked. If I killed you, you wouldn't be able to kill me. Don't be a smartass, Cameron shouted back. Do you want to fight or not? No, the other said. I don't. Great, Cameron panted. He put his hands on his knees and knelt over to catch his breath. Now what's your name? Hank, the other, who had short, buzzed brown hair, said. And you? Cameron. Great. So, are we friends now? We're people who have mutually agreed not to kill each other, Cameron replied sternly. Oh, so we're married, Hank quipped with a grin. Cameron groaned. He didn't feel like humor was appropriate considering the situation that they had found themselves in. Come on, let's go find some cover. And I swear if you hit me again, then I will straight up murder you. That's fair, Hank placated. The 2 started running. The foliage crunched beneath their feet, and they batted limbs and shrubs away with their hands as they tried to find some kind of cover. Eventually, Grizzly spoke again.
Cameron, would you like to form a party with Hank?
He asked. What does that mean? Cameron asked.
Parties have multiple advantages. In a party, you can pinpoint item or structure locations, revive each other, and see others on the map. A level 1 party can have a maximum of 10 members.
I guess so, Cameron answered. Party formed. Please name your party. The Wiener Boys! Hank suddenly declared. What? No! Cameron shouted in protest. He was too late. The Wiener Boys was now officially the name of their party. What the hell, Hank? Cameron snapped at the man. That's stupid! Hank shrugged slightly and released a satisfied smile. It's funny. Lighten up, man. Dude, Cameron sighed. We don't need to be light here. We need to be smart. Hank rolled his eyes at his overly serious partner, and the Wiener Boys continued onward. Cameron noticed that on the left side of the screen, Hank's name and a small portrait of him had shown up. As he looked at it, he also glanced up and saw that the player count had dropped some more. 885. Wow, people are really dying fast around here, Hank commented as he ran to catch up with Cameron. Would you happen to know what this place is? I have no idea, Cameron answered. Do you? Nope, Hank said. I don't even know how I got here. I can't remember anything. Me either. Cameron knew that much for sure. It's like I'm in a coma or something. Coma? Hank's face wrinkled up. Do you mean you have amnesia? Yeah, whatever, Cameron shrugged. You know what I mean. I do now. Hank snickered at Cameron's slip-up. The 2 continued to crunch their way through the woods, and Hank suddenly narrowed his eyes and chirped. Hey, look, he nearly shouted. What's that? Cameron saw it. It looked like a treasure chest just sitting at the foot of a tree. The 2 glanced at each other and then back to the chest. Cautiously, they approached. What do you think is in it? Hank asked. Gold? I doubt it's gold, Cameron sneered. He was beginning to feel a bit annoyed by Hank. The 2 stood before the chest, and Cameron knelt down and examined it. He reached his hand out and tried to lift the lid, but it was locked. Well, shit, how do we open it? Cameron asked. There was no gunfire nearby, and so he felt safe spending a little bit of time with the container. Hank hummed and walked over. He kicked the chest, and small cracks formed all over it. Whoa, Hank declared. It's breaking. I guess we just kick it. Cameron felt he looked like an idiot as the two stood around the chest kicking it for a few moments. Finally, he heard a loud pop and the wood collapsed. Its contents spilled out on the ground around them. Cameron smiled at what he saw, and for the first time since falling from the sky, he felt a small amount of hope. A pistol, a shotgun, and multiple rounds of ammunition were among the items that the chest previously held. Cameron instinctively reached for the shotgun, leaving the pistol for Hank. As he grabbed it, a window appeared in his vision. Clapper. Pump shotgun. Level 1. Rarity. Common. 1 to 40 damage. Cameron noticed that the rifle icon in the bottom right-hand corner of his screen had been filled with a picture of the clapper. Also, in the bottom left, 2 new numbers appeared. 6. 9. Cameron assumed that those numbers indicated how much ammo he had left. He verified it by picking up some of the shotgun shells that had spilled out. 6. 15. That was it. He filled his pockets with the shells and looked at the other items that the chest had provided them. Bandage times 3. Restores 10 health. Cap. Basic clothing. Level 1. Rarity. Common. Plus 5 armor. Turtle shell. Crafting item. Level 2. Rarity. Common. Tricorn captain's hat. Basic clothing. Level 5. Rarity. Uncommon. Plus 10 armor. Fork. Crafting item. Melee weapon. Rarity. Common. 3 to 8 damage. Hank swooped in and snatched up the tricorn captain's hat, bandages, and fork, leaving the turtle shell and cap for Cameron. Cameron scowled at Hank. Hey, what the fuck, man? I need them more than you, Hank argued. The pirate hat on his head sent a wave of revulsion through Cameron's mind. Not only was he annoying, but now he would look like a moron as he said stupid things. Plus, you left me with the pistol. Clearly it's the weaker weapon, so I should get the extra armor and melee weapon. Take the other things, remember, we will work together. You get the next bandages. Cameron grumbled as he placed the stupid beanie on his head. He left the turtle shell, for he didn't see any immediate use for it. He was, however, mildly pleased to see his armor go up to 5. You could have at least let me have one of the bandages, Cameron said as the two got to their feet.
Hey, Cameron,
Grizzly suddenly said.
Congratulations on finding your first weapon and piece of armor. Listen, you have 2 ways of storing your items. First, you can just put something in your pockets and it goes straight into your inventory. You can also view and organize your inventory from the inventory screen. Obviously, you can't just stick a sword in your pocket, so if you find one and decide you want to hold on to it, opening the inventory screen will be your best bet. Lastly, if you plan on toting around a bunch of stuff, you'll want to keep your eye out for backpacks, duffel bags, etc. They'll increase your inventory capacity, but make sure you have the strength to accommodate the storage.
Cool, Cameron replied. He looked at Hank, who had apparently been talking to the voice in his head as well. When the conversations were done, the two nodded at each other, and with their new weapons and hats, they continued onward. So, where are you from, Cam? Hank asked with a chipper tone. Can I call you Cam? I don't think so, Hank. Okay, where are you from, Cameron? I don't know, Cameron replied. Amnesia, remember? Oh, yeah. Hank smacked himself on the forehead. The blow tilted his obnoxious hat, making him look just a little bit more annoying. Duh. We need to keep quiet and find somewhere to lay low, Cameron reiterated. We need to make it through today. Hey, Hank declared as he reached out and tapped Cameron's shoulder. What about that? He pointed to Cameron's left, and Cameron looked over. Hidden amongst the trees, he saw a run-down-looking shack that he had missed. Yeah. Cameron smiled briefly and motioned for Hank to follow him. The two began to make their way toward the shack and hoped that it would give them the rest and protection that they so fervently desired.